What's up, everybody? Thralls of Metal back once again. I am Rin.
I'm Necrotic Nick.
And we're here to bring another album review. This time, Eyehategod, a history of nomadic behavior.
Been anticipating this one because an Eyehategod album is an experience on a lot of different levels. So this came out also on the 12th of March on Century Media. This is the first time they put out an album on Century Media since Confederacy of Ruined Lives. Woo. That was a while ago.
Oh, 6? 5?
Actually, it was earlier than that, I think. Like Jesus. 2000, maybe.
Good Lord.
I know. Where's the time gone?
I don't know.
Overall, this is their 6th album. They originally formed in 1988, but they were known as Snuffleupagus on Acid. I almost kind of wish they'd stuck with the name, but Eyehategod's a hell of a moniker. From good old NOLA.
Nolan.
One of the deep, dark, murky sludge bands that have kind of crawled out from the swamps in there. This is the first one with just Jimmy Bower on guitars. They've had a other guitarist, Brian Patton.
Yep.
For a number of years. He exited in 2018. And this is their first one in, God, when was the self-titled? That was...
5 years?
5 years. So it's been a bit. And I think a lot of it was kind of sidelined because vocalist Mike Williams, or Mike 9, had a liver transplant.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, he needed it. I saw the pictures.
Yes. And Jimmy Bower was doing Down and Superjoint and...
a lot of different projects.
Yeah.
These guys stay busy in this whole, like, giant NOLA scene, which is still very, very active. And this is, well, I mean, this is an Eyehategod album, like 100%.
Yes.
I don't really know how else to describe it, because in terms of, like, the sludge scene, these are not, like, the starter bands. Like, I would say, like, you know, start with your Crowbar first, maybe some Acid Bath. Those are still raw and heavy, but maybe easier to get into. When you start delving deeper into like Eyehategod and Soylent Green, you start getting into like the guts of sludge.
the murk, the bottom of the bayou.
Oh my God. Built Beneath the Lies, the opening track. Woo. Right away, I mean, you're greeted to everything that Eyehategod is, the off-time rhythms, and their giant Melvins worship, but it's much darker than the Melvins. Melvins kind of come off as quirky and just kind of strange.
Yeah.
It's no quirky or strange. This is dark.
Well, Eyehategod is a Mirepoix, if you will. A Mirepoix of Black Sabbath, Black Flag, and early Melvins. Gluey Porch Treatment era Melvins.
Yeah.
And when Eyehategod goes fast, it's My War era Black Flag.
Yeah.
Just things don't even hit on the tempo correctly. It's just anger and disgusting. And then you got your Southern swing, Sabbathy bends, and you also got your New Orleans, like Dr. John, your jazz, your bayou kind of swing to it. You can tell it's from the South.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And all of that is very much on display. I mean, you know, Built Beneath the Lies, and I would say Three Black Eyes. I didn't really mean to rhyme that. They really show up at that sort of Black Flag sort of punk.
Yeah.
The vocal cadence and the drum time may not match up necessarily, but it's very much like Black Flag, where you know, Henry Rollins had his own cadence too. Mike 9 is not going to stop talking. And he's not going to stop talking, or screaming rather, about the things that he hates in the world. And we don't have time to go over the entire list because it's a lot.
It's quite a few things.
But the whole like meshing of this together is really interesting, because it almost sounds like all these instruments were recorded on their own without any input from anyone else, and then just kind of like threw it together. It's like, you know, that kind of works.
Yeah.
And it's strange. It's almost pretty much like punch in the face to conventional song structure, because they're really just all over the place. Outer Banks starts off with just giant doom riffs. I mean, doomy as
Heavy
hell.
as elephant scrotum.
I mean, that's thick and probably leathery. But then towards the back half of it, it breaks into a full-on D-beat punk rager. Like, this is the pit spinner, and probably like the lone big pit spinner on the entire album.
Right.
It's just nasty. And when you couple that with this ridiculous guitar tone, which, I mean, honestly, I know it was like a bit of a challenge for Jimmy to really kind of like find that tone again, because they had two guitars to play off of, which is just layers and layers of murk. If you've ever listened to an Eyehategod album, wow. Feedback.
Heavy, thick.
Oh.
It's like the fog is rolling in.
the swamp is literally pouring out of the amps. Probably some critters too.
The levees broke.
Oh yeah, it's murk and filth and all sorts of other stuff. And
there's gators out there.
Kind of waiting in it in the studio. And there's probably gators too.
There's gators.
There's gators.
The Day That Felt Wrong is a slow, palm-muting, odd timing. There's a lot of odd timings, but this one seems just stream of consciousness in the riff and the vocals.
I got that a lot.
Like, I'm sure Mike writes down his lyrics, or maybe he doesn't. It could just be things that pop into his head and he just says it. Like, they don't rhyme most of the time. That did. Lots of free-form noise jazz is the way I could describe it, sort of.
It's almost like feedback is like a layer of melody.
It is. I would say there's less feedback on this album than previous Eyehategod releases, because they would feedback both guitars and the bass before. And this is just pretty much the one guitar, but it's pleasant. Pleasantly unpleasant.
It's doing a good job. Nothing about this album is pleasant, let's be honest. You don't put on an Eyehategod album to feel good about anything.
The artwork, the lyrics, the vibe, hell the name.
It's
yow.
No.
Yow.
One thing I liked about this song is the opening riff was a little bit different. It's palm muted and like a little thrashy, death metal-y, but I mean, like, with that tone, it's clearly not, but just the style of riffing there. Yeah. And it was like a little something different, because most riffs there are just doom-laden as hell, and you have these like stop-start sort of weird things which follow the weird stop-start drums and everything. Mm-hmm. And this one was just kind of like a little bit of a break to that, but of course it goes right into the standard realm of doomy hatred that Eyehategod lives in. Yeah. But I kind of like the whole like change up there, and the fact that this is one of the few moments that I could pick out that Mike followed the cadence of the riff.
Yeah, the most rhythm so far in this album, yeah.
Yeah.
He found it. He found the one.
The hateful one.
The hateful one. The song Smoker's Peace, it's a little couple-minute instrumental that kind of breaks up Mike frothing.
There's probably frothing.
He's in the corner frothing. He's just didn't turn the mic on or something. Turn the mic on! Jesus Christ. Okay. This one is like Dr. John on barbiturates. Nolans-style jazz, but in the Eyehategod hell tone vibe.
It's supposed to be a soothing break, but again, nothing soothing.
Not so soothing.
Ever.
It's
with Eyehategod.
You know, if you got a sunburn, instead of aloe, you're rubbing in canola oil.
One of the things that I liked about this, well, it's kind of an interesting pacing thing. Like, you know, the first handful of tracks, you know, you get a lot of that strange off-time stuff. And I mean, listening to it, listening to Melvin's albums, it has that Dale Crover sort of like drum style, minus the really wild cymbal work.
Yeah.
But when you get down to songs like High Risk Trigger, Anemic Robot, and Circle of Nerves, these bring the groove. Like, you don't have to search to find it. It's right there, served on a horrible dish.
Served on a dirty ashtray. Eat it, you ungrateful prick.
Maybe a hubcap. It's not a pleasant serving, but it's good.
Yes.
It's wholesome.
Great riff in High Risk Trigger.
And, I mean, it's very Sabbathy. It has kind of that bounce to it. But, you know, again, Mike keeps it from being pleasant. It almost has this, like, kind of cool melody. It's like, oh, that's nice. And then, you know, Mike starts spouting off his hatred of stuff again. I was like, well, okay. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, these songs had, like, some serious hooks. And this is where they kind of, like, maybe kind of push the punk aside for a moment. Right. Just to bring forth all that love of Sabbath and sludgy riffs and
Pentagram.
Oh man,
Witchfinder General,
Saint Vitus.
Yes,
all that Trouble.
Anything,
throw in there.
Anything Wino's ever done.
Yeah, anything. All 40 bands that Wino is currently in.
Yes. In fact, is he an Eyehategod? No, I don't think he is.
Not yet.
He might be.
Not yet. I'm pretty sure
they
he was
need a second
to
guitar
him.
player, right? Maybe Wino's not recording something right this second.
I'm not holding my breath on that one.
He probably is.
He probably is.
The last song on the album, Everything, Every Day. Now, I love this song. I can see why people wouldn't, because it is nuts. It sounds like what's going on in Michael Douglas's head in the movie Falling Down. It's what Mike is screaming about, you'll have to hear it, but I feel you, brother. Right there. You hit the nail on the guy's head. The hammer.
Hammer on the guy's head. No.
Hammer smash face. Never.
No.
Yeah. I'm glad Mike's alive, but I wonder if he is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know.
Literally, I mean, honestly, it sounds like he's pissed about waking up.
Yeah.
Like, it just started off that way. Every day, everything, already.
Yes.
Honestly, I mean, we were joking around, like, this is what you play for a 7-year-old kid running around the house. Like, listen here, you little job-free tax write-off. This is what you have to look forward to. Rin was 23 the other day. He's 46 today. That's what happens.
I'm still 23.
He's still 23. Never mind. Forget that. But yeah, this song is so bleak. And I mean, I compared a good chunk of this in terms of like his vocal delivery, how it doesn't follow the time signature all the time. It's hostile poetry.
Yeah.
It's NOLA poetry slam and Star and Mike and not booze anymore, thank God, but probably a lot of cigarettes.
A lot of cigarettes.
And he might be flicking them at people in the crowd.
Or putting them out on his own arm.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, in terms of like catharsis and listening, Jesus, I get it. I really get it. Now, in terms of like stuff that I kind of took away from this that I didn't like as much, and one thing, I don't know if I don't like it or I do like it, it's Mike's vocals, but it's not like his delivery. His delivery really hasn't changed over the years.
Yeah.
It's how clean and clear he sounds.
It's very odd to make out every word he's saying, for the most part.
Yeah.
90% of what he's saying you can make out, which wasn't the case in previous Eyehategod records.
It's usually very muffled.
Yeah.
And, and I don't know if he was necessarily sober in the studio when he recorded it, but I kind of like that because it kind of added like another layer of murk to this already filthy, murky sound.
Maybe the new liver he got used to belong to an English professor.
Probably. He's a little more refined now.
Yeah. Cunning linguist.
But maybe the benefit to having these clearer vocals is you can hear all the stuff he's talking about. Yeah. And I mean, if you've ever taken the time to read the liner notes in an Eyehategod CD, if you own them, you should. They're a good read. But now you can hear him say it.
Yeah.
And man, the amount of emotion that he pours into it, I mean, you kind of connect with the negativity. But the only song in here that I thought was just maybe a little too odd was Current Situation, which opens up with, I mean, I would describe it as like noise rock, but it's almost like pretty much they sat down and was like, hey, do you hate jazz? Like, yeah, I hate jazz. You want to fuck it up? Yeah. And then it kind of goes into this, like the whole band's just kind of like tuning up and fucking around up until Mike yells something, and then they get to it, which the middle part of the song is really good. Yeah. Then you're greeted to this part, which, all of a sudden the guitars start chugging. I was like, all right, maybe get another little like pit spinner and a little punky break or something like that. And it just kind of descends into madness.
Noisescape.
And I mean, granted, I know that that's part of the atmosphere and everything, but you have atmosphere on your songs. Like your songs across the board. You can feel them. Like that's the thing with Eyehategod is you feel all the contempt for everything already. So you really didn't need this part. And it kind of just comes back together and, closes the song strong, but that was the only part where it's like, hey, you didn't need that. It was a bit much, and you guys are already over the fucking top.
Right. For me, it kind of captured some hellish summer drug-induced nightmare where you're way too hot and way too high.
Mike 9 screaming in a phone booth.
And there's bugs crawling on you. Where did they come from? Where am I? Who took my shoe?
All that. But again, it was like a little bit much. But overall, this is an Eyehategod album.
Yes, it is.
And I like Eyehategod. It was one of those bands that took me a while to understand the nightmarish hellscape that their music is. But when I did, I was like, dude, I appreciate this. And I dig this album.
Yes.
So overall, I'm going to give it 4 stars. This is solid. I mean, they had to change around with one guitarist, but Jimmy Bower's tone is... you'll be fine.
Just one guitar!
And that's all they needed. I mean, Mike sounds fresh and inspired, a little bit clearer, which is, kind of like a give or take there. But overall, I mean, it's effective. Their wild song structure, they pretty much just pissed in the face of convention anyway, and I like that. This whole meeting of these different styles, once again, they do it well, and if you're looking for something hostile to listen to, Get it. It's good.
4 stars for me as well. I've been a fan of Eyehategod since I was 14, 12 years ago. Carry the one. No, that's not right. Yeah, it's something like that. Sludge, New Orleans, Groove, Swamp, Bayou, Crawfish, Gators. I don't even know what I'm saying. But Eyehategod is dirty and scuzzy and pleasant to me in my ears. Don't know why. But I've always been a big fan of everything Jimmy Bauer's done. Mike Nine is an insane poet, and I'm glad he's still with us. I'm glad Eyehategod is back doing it because they took a couple years off here and there. But solid Eyehategod record. Get it.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We will catch you later.